Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So, rare show vlog outside of the expo. In reality, the only show vlog outside of the expo that I've ever done, because I don't really attend any shows outside of the expo, and I haven't done so probably in about 10 years, give or take, as far as that's concerned. Most of the time is honestly because most of the shows that are around are a little bit out of my way, and a lot of them are a little bit on the smaller side. It's one of those things where you just have to find the right time. In this case, it happened to work out because the PSA Canada guys were setting up and sponsoring the CSC Trade Show, so I'll try to include a logo somewhere in here. The CSC Trade Show in the Mississauga Convention Center, so it's effectively in my backyard, so it's one of those things where I figure I'd give it a go. I looked at the list of dealers and stuff, so it seemed okay, so I thought I would go and check it out. I even ventured to wake up on Sunday morning, which frankly I don't like to do, and if you've seen the channel before, you know I'm not a morning person, ever. But nonetheless, I went to go visit the show. I figured I would check it out, and I'll say it was honestly it was fun. It was for the period of time that it took. It's a little bit out of the way, so it's one of those things I mentioned. It was my backyard, but in reality, it's a backyard if you have a really long yard. So it's one of those things where you have to go. It is a little bit of a trek to head over, and a little bit tricky in terms of the way traffic. In this case, the weather didn't quite agree with us, although it got better as the day went on because it was a little bit snowing all the way through, and it's one of those things that develops a little bit of slush, and it kind of slows things down. But I was able to head over and get in, and apparently there was another little trade thing going on in one of the other rooms, which had this gigantic line. I kind of went around that, snaked around it a little bit, and was able to figure out that it was for the other thing and not the trade show itself. Once I had my ticket already scanned and everything, because I had bought it ahead of time, and was able to get my admission armband, then I was able to go into the show. Now, I don't have really a lot of footage to show you because I didn't really pull out the camera for it, although I did take a couple of small clips. So as I'm talking, if I have any pictures or in a little bit of a video that I did take, really short clips that I took with the phone, I'll play it for you while I'm talking through it. Now, like I said, overall, it was a fun show because it was kind of interesting to go and check it out. But as a result of a show like this, you do see that you do get a little bit of a mixed bag as far as dealers are concerned. Pricing was interesting, I will say, because I thought that some of them actually had reasonable pricing, but it's one of those things where you really do feel like you've got some folks that set up regularly, and you can kind of tell that that's their operation, and other folks that put together like a group of cards. Even one of the dealers I was kind of around during when I was chatting with somebody and said that their thing was kind of a last moment thing, where they were kind of asked if they could come down, and they literally grabbed boxes of stuff and put together a showcase, and it was kind of last minute. So a lot of the pricing wasn't fully up to date in terms of that, and I felt like there was a little bit of that throughout the show. I did get a chance to talk to a few folks along the way, and also met a few folks that had seen the channel. So thank you to those who I was able to have a little bit of a chat with, so it was fun. And I will say it got pretty busy. All things considered, it was a one-day show. So from Sunday, it started at 10 a.m. and then went to 6 p.m. And basically by 5 o'clock-ish, the thing had pretty much cleared out. At one point, it was the fire marshals, though, did come in and kind of restrict the entrance. So when it was busy, kind of in that middle part, by the time I got there, it was already starting to get a little busy. It got super busy. The aisles got kind of clogged up. It had a decent space for it. Like I said, I'll include some pictures on it, but it did get pretty busy, all things considered, so I was pretty impressed by that. Thoughts-wise, from my perspective, I think the big thing that was enjoyable for me was just getting a chance to check out and, like I said, attend a show that was outside of my norm. Because usually I attend, like I said, the expo, which is the large one. In this case, this show, I want to say maybe between 80 and 100 tables, maybe a little bit over that, but right in that range. So you felt like it had a decent amount of dealers and a decent amount of content that was available, a variety of stuff. But not like as much variety as you might expect. I will say it wasn't as hockey heavy as you might think, all things considered in Canada. I think the demographics of that particular part of Mississauga, and if you're not familiar, Mississauga is an interesting city in the sense that it's a reasonably large landmass. It's got a decent population, but it definitely has these different sectors. So when you're over in kind of that north part of it, you're in a different area and you're going to have a different demographic. So I saw a fair bit of basketball. I did see some football. I definitely saw some baseball. I saw some hockey, of course. We got that. A little bit of wrestling as well. So when I get into the pickups, I did pick up a couple of things. So what I'll do when I get to that portion of it is I'll switch over to kind of my normal pickup view with the other camera. And I think that'll be a little easier to see. I also picked up a box of this Topps Chrome Platinum Anniversary Edition. So this 2021. Fun rip, for all things considered. The price on it wasn't too bad, I felt like. And I love the 52 Topps set, so I do enjoy it. I will say, though, the QC on this, you know, you talk about Panini and the QC and all that. The QC on this was atrocious. Like I said, the cards are nice, and I'll show a couple of the nicer ones to go along with it. But I think this is kind of indicative too, and hopefully you can see it'll zoom in for me. You'll be able to focus in on it. So I don't know if you're able to make that out. Look at the centering on that. The appeal and the draw on this is you got these chromium cards and the 52 Topps set up and everything. But you can see like the centering on this, and there were cards with scratches and roller lines and everything right out of the packs. So it was just kind of funny. It was a fun rip because I ripped it with a buddy of mine there. We just had fun, and we actually ripped it at the PSA Canada booth. We were just chilling there with the boxes. It was a little quieter spot, and we were able to open up the packs, and it would have been fun to see if anything would have been gradable or worthwhile, but there was a lot of this stuff. Grading, like I said, roller lines, scratches, all kinds of stuff. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. But it was an enjoyable rip in the sense that I was able to pull at least a couple of cards that are fun that I'll probably throw into my PC. And from that perspective, it's never a bad time when you get a chance to open a relatively inexpensive box, because it wasn't too crazy as far as pricing was concerned. Now, as I said, in terms of selection, that also affected kind of what I was doing. Because it was a last minute thing for me, I didn't really bring a lot of cash. There was some decent high-end stuff in there, not necessarily what I'm looking for, but it was interesting to see it. It's fun for me when you got a show like that. You want to see what kind of blend and what kind of a mix you have. You did have folks that had the boxes with the different price points that allow you to go and be able to put together little packages, you know, dollar bins and $5 bins and stuff like that. And you saw some boxes, some slabs. So you had some dealers that did that. You had other ones that set up the showcases. And like I said, you did feel that there was a little bit of a mix in terms of the amount of dealers there. And one of the indicators of that for me was when I'd go to the showcase and I would see that it would have like one layer, and it was basically like decent stuff, you know, different price ranges and all that. But when you saw it, you could tell that there wasn't... It almost felt like it was you were looking at somebody's collection, that they had brought some stuff over. The selection wasn't as heavy for some of the dealers, so it felt like more of a weekend warrior kind of thing. Although from what I understand, the tables costs were pretty high, so it kind of surprised me that I didn't see a little bit more of not necessarily high end is not what I would say, but a little bit fuller showcases for some of them, and that's not across the board. There were definitely some that had the fuller showcases, but I felt like when you saw that, it was the more professional ones that do kind of the show circuit. So for them, it's just another show in a series of shows, and they certainly have a lot of inventory that moves around. I will say there were folks with the the Pelican cases and all that bringing in their cards, and honestly, some of the cards in the Pelican cases were probably nicer than some of the stuff in the showcases, if I'm being completely honest. Like I said, it was kind of fun to get a sense of that the vibe of the show. It was enjoyable and a good time. And I was able to pick up a couple of cards here and there, but for the most part, I was not necessarily seeing anything that caught my eye that was interesting for a lot of it. And since I didn't go into it with a plan, it wasn't like I was specifically targeting anything. It was like, if something caught my eye that made sense, I went and picked it up. So I did pick up some cards for some Z Folio stuff, and I'll show that to you in the pickup section. I did find a couple of cards that were kind of interesting from the wrestling side of things. Specifically one that kind of played into a theme of a recent show in WWE land. So I'll explain that when I do the pickups. I'll also show a couple of cards from the Platinum Anniversary Edition, because some of them look pretty nice, and I think they were enjoyable. Not too crazy as far as the pickups are concerned. And again, overall, it was a fun show from the perspective of hanging out, chatting with some folks, and getting a chance to kind of just take in a show for the first time in a long time that wasn't the expo. So that's it for my general thoughts. So now I'm going to take it over the clip where I show off the stuff on the other camera with the other lighting, and then I'll come back and give some final thoughts. All right, let's do some pickups here. I'll start off with the 2021 Platinum Anniversary from Topps Chrome. A fun product. So we'll start off with this one here, which was a base card, but nonetheless, a base card that was of the single best Angels player in the history of the franchise with a fish last name, Tim Salmon. No one else even comes to mind. No question. This one was a good one just because as far as base cards are concerned, it was a fun one to add. So we got a nice Joe Carter card. That's a cool one. So those were kind of fun to put aside. Now, I did get a couple of the different refractors as well, so nothing too crazy as far as that's concerned. I'll kind of sort through these, but I did get a stack of those refractors. I did sleeve up these other ones here. So we got the sparkle ones. I don't know the parallels, so forgive me on that. But you got a nice Willie McCovey, Zach Wheeler, Edgar Martinez. So that's pretty solid. They do look really good. The color and everything pops. So these are kind of fun. As far as having a rip, this was kind of fun to open up. So you got a rookie here. You got Garrett Anderson here in an X Factor. This green parallel, which I'm not too familiar with, Andy Young here as a rookie for the Diamondbacks. And then you got this one here. You got kind of the red cracked ice kind of thing going here with Nomar Mazara. And this one is numbered to 100. So overall, I don't know if I did well. I don't know if I did badly. I don't know if it was average. But it was a fun rip anyway. It was cheap enough. So it's one of those things where I just decided to pick it up. Especially since I don't get to rip open too many boxes. So when I get a chance to do so, I figured when in Rome, why not take advantage of the fact. I did pick up a couple of singles. Nothing too crazy. Mostly this small first stack here was from I won't say a dollar bin because it really wasn't a dollar bin, but it was a box of different cards for different players. And I went through the Soto section. I was able to grab a couple. So I got a Juan Soto here in the San Diego Padres jersey. This is the holiday edition, which was a nice one to add. And I'm not too familiar with a lot of these brands. These are pretty much going in the Z Folio. I shouldn't say brands, but specifically these subsets or inserts or whatever the case may be. So this one's from Topps Chrome. We got naturals. Just the pattern and everything attracted me, so I figured I'd grab it. was available cheap enough. Why not? This was a fun one. This is kind of a throwback here. So we got from 2022, Topps Finest, Cornerstone. A little bit of a retro throwback style. I like that. It's a fun one. And we got the Refractor Shine, so that's always good. Then we got the Topps Black Gold, which is great. It's a fun one. Combination throwback with some inserts that I had back in the day. This was a neat one. This is from Topps Chrome, I guess, Heart of the City. So this is still him as a national, but nonetheless, we got Soto there. Design-wise, it's actually kind of a fun card. Stuff like that is good. It is good to throw in the Z-Folio. It's enjoyable. So I think for that, just from a fun standpoint, we'll put this one here, and we'll include that as one of the last cards here that we'll do in the pickups here from the card show. I did pick up 2 wrestling cards. One of them was a throw-in that I asked for just as part of the deal. So I'll show that one first. And this is from the new Chronicles. So 2022 Panini Chronicles WWE. We got Sid Vicious, and that is numbered to 99. I'm not sure which parallel it is for that, but I think what I enjoyed about this one is, number one, Sid was fun, especially back in the day. He really did play that character very well. But the thing that also kind of amused me, and this is kind of a Panini thing here, so we got, this is WWE Chronicles. Now, Sid Vicious is one of the monikers he went by, but he did that in WCW. In reality, in WWE, he was, you know, Sid Justice and then Psycho Sid, and that's pretty much what he ran with the whole time. But Sid Vicious was kind of what he was doing in WCW. So, not exactly thematically appropriate if we're focusing on WWE, unless you want to claim that was from his WCW stint. So I just thought it was kind of funny as a toss-in. Now, the second card, and the one that was the main part of the deal, is actually thematically appropriate given the Royal Rumble that was played last night. There's Rhea Ripley, and this is the blue prism, I guess. It is numbered, and she did win the women's side of the Royal Rumble. Probably the better of the 2 Rumbles, honestly. I did get a chance to watch it since I have the streaming package, so I was able to kind of watch this for free. And fortunately, free is about what I would have paid for it, because as a show, I've got some thoughts. Not many of them were good, but I think the women's Rumble is probably the better of the 2, personally. So I've got it here. It is numbered 249. But a pretty cool looking card. This is one of those ones where I'm just going to kind of hang on to it for now. But we'll see. She's probably, now that she's won the Rumble, she'll probably get an opportunity to have a showcase match at WrestleMania for one of the championships. So more than likely, this card will be kind of interesting. It'd be interesting trade fodder. Maybe put it up on eBay. We'll see. But in the meantime, I'm content to hang on to it. It's a fun card, and I was able to enjoy it. And actually, a quick story about this one, and the Sid Vicious as well. So like I said, I mentioned during the first portion of it that I did have a lot of fun going in. Like I said, for me, it was just going to the show, hanging around and talking to some folks and just seeing what happened. And actually, this card I purchased from the first dealer that I met. I came back around and ended up picking it up. And they recognized, not me, but the logo that I had. I was wearing a toque for my alma mater, the University of Guelph. As it turns out, the guy actually went to the University of Guelph and went and graduated in the same year as I did, starting off in the same major. So I didn't recognize him. It's been a long time since I was in university, but it's very funny because we started chatting about it, and there's certain landmarks and things that you know if you're there. So it's just kind of random that I happened to come across that, and the logo initiated the conversation. And in the end, I picked up a card at the table when I came back around to talk about it. But it was just kind of a fun little random thing. I did get a chance, like I mentioned earlier, to talk with some folks that did recognize me from the channel, and it was fun to have a quick conversation. And thank you to those that I got a chance to chat to. So anyway, that's it. Not too crazy as far as pickups are concerned. I didn't go in with any crazy plans or any big budget, but I just figured I would go in, take a look, enjoy it, and see what I could find. And I was able to at least come back with a couple of cards that are fun for the collection. With that said, I'll send it back to Carlos for final thoughts. So there you go. Just like I said, overall, a fun show, like nothing too crazy, but at the same time, I was able to pick up some fun cards to add to a couple of different sections of the PC, and also some stuff that I'll kind of keep an eye on and see what I want to do with it going down the road. But I would consider it a success and a fun way to spend a Sunday afternoon before coming back home. And then now I've got the AFC Championship game playing on the other screen there, so I'll spend the rest of the evening watching that. Otherwise, for this mini show vlog, that is it for me. More videos coming up on the channel as always, and then live streams on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where we'll talk about, whatever's going on hobby-wise, and we'll definitely be doing more of that going in the future. I do have a PSA card grading review. Once the stuff comes in, I got to have it shipped. And on the live stream, we'll talk a little bit about that, because I'm going to have a little bit of fun giving a little bit of a hard time to one of the members of PSA Canada for that one. We'll have a little bit of fun, and we'll have some laughs on that story. But overall, it was a fun way to mix things up, at least on the channel as far as that's concerned. So that's it for me. Like if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much, and we'll catch you in the next one.